Hey, my name's Tony, T-O-N-Y, not T-O-N-I, and my last name is Ashrafatan, and I identify as a trans guy, and that's me with long hair, and my legal name is Antoinette, but I've never identified that way at all. My mom is from Greece, and my dad's from Iran. I guess to paraphrase what they've said about themselves politically, they're definitely not liberal hippies, but they're not too conservative. They're kind of improving with like gender and sexuality and stuff like that, but they're still traditional as far as like their expectations of growing up as a girl and being straight and stuff like that. I was like really masculine and always like didn't wear skirts when I was told to, and whenever I had to dress up to go to church or Greek school, I would always like rebel when I had to wear a skirt. So there was always that that kind of like gender outlaw stuff growing up where I was like, oh okay, I'm being told I'm female, but I like to do all these like male things.
Μας κάνουν περήφανους κάθε χρόνο παρελάβνοντας την πέμπτη λεωφόρο.
Being Greek has really played into my life, and I think sometimes I really model my male gender identity on Greek masculinity. I think especially with my transition, there's like an emphasis on the idea of like Greek masculinity, and like males are very dominant in the society, and they still kind of have like traditional ideas of gender, so I think that gets in the way. I started thinking about gender as like a concept, like really not at boarding school, definitely not, but when I went to like a freshman at Wesleyan, I got acquainted with like the LGBT community there, so that's where I kind of started like evolving as a trans person. Is like I started like being introduced to gender academically. I cut my hair like junior year, and I started identifying as butch and stuff and queer. When I came out as gay to my mom, she was very shocked and then definitely not happy, and sad and kind of like a little bit disappointed. With my brother, it's just really upsetting, and I've had incidents where he's called like my significant others I've had like faggots. Maybe he would like the idea of having a brother. That would be great. But I think given his responses to like me coming out, and I think it'll take a while for him to accept me if he ever does. All my friends are liberal, and even the ones that aren't, they're like open-minded. So overall my friends have been supportive. I haven't had anyone who's been like, oh, I'm not gonna be friends with you anymore, this is crazy, blah blah blah. But it's interesting because like a lot of my straight friends like totally get it, and I think it's really interesting. And also I feel like there's an element of like, oh okay, you're gonna identify as straight now, so we can like not just go to gay clubs anymore. But I've had some like gay friends who are like really confused by it and don't seem to get the gender part, and they're only focused on the sexual orientation part. So yeah, other people who don't really know me and kind of but still like see me, I guess I had to call actually the other day a credit card company, and I was like, yeah, I have to close my account, blah blah blah, because I have to change my gender legally, and then she actually she's like, okay, hold on the line, woman, and then came back. I was like, okay sir, I can process that. So it's like, it's interesting how accepting people can be, and I guess maybe trans people are getting more visibility in the media and in society. T is short for testosterone. For trans guys, since we don't naturally produce it, you have to inject it. I started out doing 0.5 cc, which is 100 milligrams every 2 weeks, but then what happens is the week that you don't inject, you get kind of like, you get a lull and you get kind of like depressed. Now I'm like doing it every 10 days, but it's still bad. You can go into the transition expecting to be like male in 2 weeks, but it's like it's a year, multi-year process, and you can't even like really pass as male until like 6 or 8 months in. I work as a legal assistant at a small LGBT civil rights law firm, so working there has been great as far as my transition goes. Like being asked like, what pronoun do you want now, and we'll support you through this, and you know, obviously haven't gotten fired, which is great. But I mean, yeah, trans people in the U.S., like, there's not a lot of protection against job discrimination. Yeah, that can be really difficult, and just like the whole psychological sense of like, you know, that trans people are still seen as like crazy, and it's like they don't really trust like trans people, and they don't understand that they can know what's best for them. So there's that sense. Yeah, it's difficult to cope with people who just don't get it. It is frustrating, like, and I have gotten questions from some friends with some people who just don't get trans stuff. It's like continuous like explaining, but yeah, and I would say like I have encountered that, and it sucks, but you know, you can't educate everyone completely like that. At some point they have to educate themselves.